My name is Harry, I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here. Today is November 30th, 2023. It is 1:48 p.m. Alright, I just came from the gym and someone sent me this and I had a hard time to view it. So I want to go over it really quick and hopefully I edit it quick and put it out for you. Alright, so let's listen to this. I wanted to listen to it to share it with you. Alright, so let's get started. This is 6 minutes and 15 seconds. So it's pretty long.
Through the latest news stories with Nick Ferrari. Welcome, Isla Traquoir. Thank you so much. And we're going to kick off with a story that we've literally just had Omid in the studio. And he blatantly denied the fact that he is the mouthpiece to Meghan and Harry. Let's take a look at that clip.
A lot of the speculation is that you are a mouthpiece for Harry.
Yeah.
So what is your relationship with Harry and Meghan?
I'm not their friend. I've never sat down with Meghan privately for interviews. I've never exchanged information with Meghan. I'm not in their private world in any way whatsoever. You know, I work in the American press. I'm not restricted by some of the limitations of being a member of the British press and that relationship with the royal family. So I did go on television and talk about the racism that she faced. And rather than anyone wanting to talk about it or listen about it, I was called her fan, mouthpiece, cheerleader, etc.
What did you both...
That's the thing. He just tell his side of the story and they hated for him. They hated him for it. Those people, they don't want to tell the truth. He's pretty much saying what he saw. What everybody, pretty much the Sussex squad, what I've seen, what got me into sharing some of these things with you. But they hated for him. They hate him for saying the obvious. That's all it is. All right, so let's listen to them.
Make of the interview.
Well, first of all, congratulations on... I'm just going to review your interview. It was really good, and I kind of wanted to not like him, but I was actually impressed, and I thought he was quite robust in his answers around some things. But when we get to the point about certain inaccuracies in the book and whatnot, he did say that he lent on a lot of what was in the tabloid press. So he lives in America. So was he writing the book based on the tabloid press, which he says the tabloid press is full of inaccuracies?
Wait a second. I do not know if Omid lives in the US. I do not know that, but there are a couple tweets that he was putting out as he was writing the book, that he's going somewhere, certain part in the UK, to go write his book or something like that. Unless if I'm missing something here. All right, so I don't think he's living in the US, but whatever.
As the point you brought up with him, with Piers Morgan flatly denies he's ever had a phone call with Camilla, and he couldn't quite answer that. He said, well, my sources say, his sources are, it appears to be, if it's not Meghan and Harry, it's the tabloid newspapers. But I did think that he did have some important things to bring up, as you say, about discussion.
Congratulations. I'll add my congratulations. This interview will obviously travel the world now. Let's just reflect on something we heard in that clip there. I have worked in and around the British media for, I think, 40, if not roughly 40 years. He refers to restrictions that the British press have with the royal family. There are no restrictions the British press have with the royal family. Hence the sort of articles that he possibly alludes to in his book, and some that have gone too far.
Is that the case?
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, and if we're talking about why this whole, Harry Meghan thing started, it started because several years ago, if you cast your mind back, the Queen was and always will be the most popular royal, but second to that was Harry. It wasn't William and Kate. It was not William and Kate. And when Harry and Meghan became such a popular couple, it put everybody's noses out of joint. The establishment wanted to retain the monarchy as it was, to boost William and Kate, and the media, the Daily Mail and the Telegraph in particular, fed those lines.
Well, I agree with everything until you said the last bit. I think that somebody in the palace decided to take them down a peg or two, and it went too far.
And some that have gone too far.
Somebody in the palace decided to take them down a peg or two, and it went too far.
Another one of the arguments, which I don't agree with, is that the British press gave a very unfair reaction to Meghan. I think they were very welcoming. There were a couple of articles that editors might want to review.
They were welcoming? Oh my goodness.
But the idea that we are, and that, so he's in America, so he has this on, we are all unrestricted. Nobody's, not as if King Charles or the late Queen phones up an editor and says, I don't like their story. Don't complain, don't explain, has always been their mantra.
Criticisms that you've received is that, well, okay, fine, you want to move to California, you want to step back from the institutional role, why be so public? You say you tried to do this privately.
And every single time I've tried to do it privately, there have been briefings and leakings and planting of stories against me and my wife. You know, the family motto is never complain, never explain.
Don't complain, don't explain has always been their mantra.
You know, the family motto is never complain, never explain, but it's just a motto. And it doesn't really hold...
There's a lot of complaining and a lot of explaining.
Endless.
Private, being done through leaks.
Through leaks. They will feed or have a conversation with the correspondent, and that correspondent will literally be spoon-fed information and write the story. And
much of the negativity towards the couple is coming from within the royal family. The royal family and staff of the royal family are the ones that are very often leaking these stories to the press.
They will feed or have a conversation with the correspondent, and that correspondent will literally be spoon-fed information and write the story. And then at the bottom of it, they will say that they've reached out to Buckingham Palace for comment. But the whole story is Buckingham Palace.
The royal family and staff of the royal family are the ones that are very often leaking these stories to the press.
Commenting. So when we're being told for the last 6 years, we can't put a statement out to protect you, but you do it for other members of the family, there becomes a point when silence is betrayed.
So I would say, as I was rightly highlighted to Piers Morgan, that you can pull the rug from under him straight away with that.
The other big issue, well, the biggest issue really is...
I would like for Byline to talk about this shenanigan that's going on, because there are a lot of things that were going on. None of you were covering them, but Byline had to go and cover those. Okay? So whatever restriction the reporters that report on the royal family refused to speak about, but Byline was able to do that. So I don't know, maybe he's right, there's no restriction, but for some reason the royal rights are not talking about those real issues. Okay?
Those names and this issue about this book.
Do you think
and
do you believe him?
Well, I have read, listened and know people in the literary world. How can names that were never on a that were allegedly never in a manuscript end up in a book without them being inserted? I know there's investigations, there's a lot of legal things around here. Piers Morgan named the two on television last night. It's the worst kept secret because you can just Google it and find out who it is. But that is extremely damaging. That information's already out there.
And of course we know the royal family cannot speak, they never speak.
They're not going to respond to that. But I
Oh, all the things are coming from the royal family. The royal family are the one who's leaking to the press. Okay? This I remember very well. Martin Brennan.
The press and the media. And as they say at the start of episode 1, they say so many books and shows and stories have been written about us. We wanted to have our own say. And remember, the purpose of the PR office at the royal family is to keep the royals in the press all the time. So you have to remember, when I work in newsrooms, it's a fact that every anti-Harry and Meghan story comes from Kensington Palace.
The correspondent, And that correspondent will literally be spoon-fed information and write the story. And then the bottom of it, they will say that they've reached out to Buckingham Palace for comment. But the whole story is Buckingham Palace.
And if it comes from Kensington Palace...
But the whole story is Buckingham Palace.
Why are they briefing against their own grandson?
Well, okay, that's a very... The idea
Why are there never any
I think that's
stories
fascinating.
about Prince William?
Well, William...
I cannot see how it's possible without a very clear paper trail at some point when those words appear. It's an entirely new sentence and paragraph. There are, again, you can find that online with things blurred out. It's a sentence that has names in it.
His reasoning, and you know, we didn't really need to go again on any more questions, because his reasoning that he doesn't speak that language, and he didn't spot it, well, the name was written in English, so he did his own work there. And on a human level,
that's a good reasoning, or should I say a good defense. He doesn't speak that language and he wrote whatever he wrote in English, so whoever wrote the name, that's not Omid's fault. So that's a very good defense. I like that, the way Omid had said it. I mean, we didn't hear it in this video, but previously, and the guy is making reference to that.
He seemed more fragile and broken by the week he's had, and we did say to him in the interview, well, you kind of brought it on yourself. There's an element of what's the phrase, you know, chasing with the hounds and hunting with the hares, whatever. Yeah. And there's an element to this book is important. Well, it might prompt discussion, but also it's dressed up in a lot of the tabloid speculation and regurgitation of rumours. So it's unfortunate. There was an opportunity to do something maybe special and start conversations, but it's been lost in the tabloid stuff.
Well, I wonder how much sympathy, indeed, I know what sympathy should be afforded to him, because he's chosen to do this, hasn't he? It's not as if he's had a gun held to his head. I would imagine, and I totally with Isla, I think the explanation as to what's happened with the book in Holland, I'm just not buying. I think it's fanciful poppycock. He's probably quite nervous about that. And it's good that he came on, and it's good that he was grilled by you two, but he's got a lot of tough questions to answer. And I think the more it comes out and you hear what Piers says and others, he is going to face, and I don't want to accuse him of lying, he's going to face a lot of allegations he has to defend robustly. So I'm not surprised that that's how you describe his mood.
Alright, so if they have issues, all they have to do is call him to court. That's all.
He had death threats from book one. Exactly what I'm about to get to. He had death threats after book one, and I did have sympathy when I heard his father's been harassed by the tabloid press. But again, what do you expect when you go after the royal family, the most loved family?
What the hell? Going after? How is he going after the royal family? He's just saying things that's out there already. He is just writing things that's already out there. And he just plugged in the dots for people who wants to read it. So how is he going after the royal family? Well, he's a royal reporter. He's talking about the things that they have done. There are so many other royal reporters who've written books about the royal family. Were those reporters went after the royal family, or they were just saying fictional stuff for people to read? And the other thing with this situation with Omid, it's not a big deal right now, to tell you the truth. To a certain extent, it is a big deal. But the fact that Omid wrote something in English, I'm pretty sure he has copies of what he submitted to be translated. So they're making this, oh, Omid has a lot of things to respond to. He has a lot of whatever the guy was saying a few minutes ago.
But he's got a lot of tough questions to answer. And I think the more it comes out and you hear what Piers says and others, he is going to face, and I don't want to accuse him of lying, he's going to face a lot of allegations he has to defend robustly. So I'm not surprised that that's how you describe his mood.
It's not a big deal, or it's not that hard. That's the word. It is a big deal, but it's not that hard to follow and see what Omid wrote and who tampered with his manuscript. That's all. You just have to look at what he wrote, and Omid had made a very good point. He wrote the thing in English. He doesn't speak all the other language. He doesn't speak Dutch. He doesn't speak Italian. He doesn't speak whatever language, list of languages that he said he doesn't speak. He wrote the thing in English. So whatever he has in English and what the other person translated to, hopefully the translator has a copy of what was given to him or her. I believe it's a her. So all they have to do is compare. Then what's gonna happen? They're gonna have to say who gave her, the translator, that copy. So it's not Omid's fault. And then the other curveball that they throw in this shenanigan is that Piers Morgan quickly went out and put those names out. So you have to wonder what is going on. Who tampered with Omid's manuscript? So something is happening here, and I hope Omid takes legal action. Legal action for the purpose is he's losing some money from them pulling the book out, and is it Netherlands or something like that? Okay, and the translator, you know, could also sue the people who gave her the manuscript for giving her some sort of a tempered manuscript, and then they're gonna blame everything on her. And like one of those commentators said, it's a whole new paragraph. I could understand if it's 1 or 2 words or 2 sentences that she made a mistake in, but it's a whole paragraph. So someone inserted that particular information in there for her to translate. So someone tampered with Omid manuscript. That's what I think. And also what I think that might happen as well is that people may not trust that that company, the publisher. And I think it's been there for a while. I did a quick little makeshift sort of research, asking Google certain things. It's on my community board. I'll put a screenshot of it on here. Okay, you could easily follow along. The main thing is Omid has his copy, the translator has her copy, and then to compare and contrast. Where did that thing go wrong? Who gave who what? And why did it translate into that? A whole new paragraph that wasn't there. So this is a big deal for Omid for losing money, but it's not really Omid's fault in this aspect. And hopefully he has his original copy to show whoever is doing the investigation on it who inserted that paragraph. All right, it is a big deal, but in a sense for Omid part, I don't think he has anything to worry about, because he literally said he didn't write that. So if he didn't write it, then who wrote it? And it's also not the translator's problem as well. She just translate what was in front of her. The problem is the middleman, who in the middle interfere from the time the transcript left Omid's hand to the time it reached the translator. So what happened in between? It's almost like finding freedom. Omid, Megan met with Jason Kunoff to respond to some stuff about Finding Freedom. At that time, the name Finding Freedom that wasn't there, just Omid's book, right? And then from the time Megan responded to whatever question or whatever issues that was gonna go in the book, okay, she gave it to Kunoff. Now when Omid wrote the book, it came out, and now Megan's well, not now but previously, Megan's lawyer said there's some inaccuracies within the book. Again, it's not Omid's fault. Who gave Omid that particular information? Who was the middleman? It's the same issue. Somebody's tampering with his work. Who interfered from the time Megan gave Kunoff the information, and then the information reaches Omid's hand? So who tampered with whatever information that Omid wrote in the book? Okay, so the direct between the two people, the two key players, the writer and the translator. Okay, if Omid had handed the translator the manuscript, okay, Omid literally gave it to the translator, and then there was something completely off that whole paragraph that Omid said he didn't write, then there will be a problem. But there's something that happened in between. It then go directly from Omid to the translator. It went from Omid to the publisher, and then whatever happened in between before it reached the translator, and that's where the problem is. Okay, Omid and the translator don't have to worry about anything. Hopefully the translator has a copy of whatever they gave her. Alright, so that's that. Let's continue with the original recording. Oh my lord.
When depending which side of the camp you're on in Britain.
But no one deserves death threats, do they?
No one deserves death threats. Of course not. No. But if he's going to take more than a few shots at them again, then he has to expect that. And if we're looking at, is there a purpose for this book? Is it helpful? Who's it helping his bank balance really? I don't
understand this woman. Why is she saying as if Omid is attacking the royal family? Isn't some of the things that he mentioned in the book they've done? Every day I have some sort of a video talking about nonsense that the UK tabloid are talking about. So how is Omid attacking the royal family when over there the tabloid keeps on spewing nonsense every day? So some of the things that the tabloids were talking about, he mentioned in his book, and I talk about them sometimes here. So how is he? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something. You guys could correct me. How is Omid attacking the royal family when he's just writing about things that the people are doing? Aren't they public figures? Oh my lord. Wow, these people are something.
Is this helping Harry and Meghan?
No, nobody wins by the
No one wins. Just stirring the pot.
Just to say, I enjoyed the conversation with him, and he's a very bright young man.
Not young, he's 42.
What?
He's a 42, doesn't he? I'm a year older than him. He looks so young.
Oh my word. Well,
he looks very good.
I just don't know if he really thought about the effect this book would have on him and how the public react. I just don't know if he really thought
If he
about
hadn't thought about it, then I think that's just completely naive to have not. He's gone through it once before, and to run the gauntlet again, then I think he does need to have thick skin for sure, and I don't think anyone should be attacked, but if you're going to do that,
I don't understand the way this woman is talking, as if Omid is threatened. He wrote a book. So if these people, this is the thing, what is it, the kind of exchange the royal family have with the other royal rats. You don't write about this, I'll give you, this is why they were throwing Harry and Meghan under the bus. So he went and said, I'm gonna write about this, the things that they don't want people to talk about, but they were doing them anyway. So what the hell? But oh lord,
I would imagine if you watch the sales soar, I would imagine. Yeah.
He made a point here as well. The sales soar. They want two things that they really want to do with Omid. To discredit him so nobody take him serious or don't believe what he writes. And for him to lose money in his books. Okay? Because Finding Freedom made a good amount of money. I don't know the figure, but I'm sure he made a good chunk of money. Unlike the royal rats. Their books don't make that much money because they're writing a whole bunch of fiction nonsense about the royal family to make them look good. Right? But Omid, they want to attack him for him not to make money on the book and then for people not to believe what he writes. But meanwhile, he is the one who's writing what really happening. But the others that they don't, you know, when the other royal rats write books, they don't say a damn thing about it because they make the royal family look good. They that perfect family and all of that. But Omid, they want to make sure he doesn't make money and then for people not to believe him. But he's actually the one who's somewhat close to what is truly happening. That's what it is.
Let's go on to a different story. Let's change the subject a little bit. Okay, let's go on.
Okay, so let's see here. This morning sat there and lied about this interview on their paper review. Okay, what is that? UN COP28 about raiding Omid Scobie. What is this here? Okay, the king greeted Lord Cameron at the university campus here in Dubai, who replied, quote, I will not have missed it for the world. Okay, when was that? 11:30, so that was today. There's that guy here. Okay, meanwhile, back in the UK, there's Omid talking about the book. Yeah. Wow, how old is Omid, the woman said again? All right, so there's more. What is that? MS Gibson, Karen Gibson. Like I don't want to know. Let it go. LOL. All right, so let's see here. 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
It was racist, and they've always said they might name them. And then this book in the Dutch edition has the two names. Now, it says it was a translation mistake. I don't think names ain't being translated, okay? I think this is on purpose. You know, I don't know that, but it just seems very unlikely that the translation added in the two names of the royals. It was given that Omid Scobie has been hinting at this in US media interviews, that he might name them, that he knows who they are. It just seems like an almighty coincidence. Yeah, of course.
Well, the only thing that Omid has for him going on is whatever he wrote in his manuscript. Okay? He said he doesn't speak Dutch. Whatever he had given the whoever doing the translation, okay, it will be in English, and that's all. He pretty much has his defense going for him. If what he wrote in the in English in the manuscript, and whoever is doing the translation decided to put something else, that's not Omid's fault. That's not Omid's fault. Alright, so let's continue.
Absolutely right to mention the Dutch edition came out with these names in, has now been pulped, but it's given in a lot of publicity. And what do you think, Karen? Piers Morgan naming the two royals?
I've got to say that this is a big non-story for me.
Really?
Yeah, really. I don't know why we were back here again. It feels like just a big circus and it goes round and round and round and round. And I just think it's a way of bringing Harry and Meghan into the spotlight, and I think it's a way of vilifying them again. That's how I feel. So it's a non-comment for me, because I don't want to join in the circus.
Does it make you sad seeing this?
I would say, not sad. It actually really annoys me. It makes me quite angry.
What about the way that everything targets them?
Yes.
Everything goes back to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, even the guy is saying target them. Meanwhile, there was a statement that was put out. They didn't comment on the book. They have nothing to do with it. So I don't know why they're dragging him, dragging the Sussexes into the mix. They're part of the royal family, and Omid is writing his book, and he did his research, whichever way the research take him, and he wrote about it. So it's not Harry and Meghan's fault. But let's continue.
Louisa, what do you think?
I think he's very clever, Omid Scobie, because I didn't know who he was. And then this morning I found out. I've no interest in the royals, really, generally. I think, whatever. But he keeps on bashing on about them, and now people like me now know who he is because he's done this. I definitely think it's a PR move. Well, if not, it's a very expensive mistake. It's either an expensive mistake or a very smart PR move.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the smart PR.
And let's be honest.
Well, whatever, in my humble opinion, it pretty much, once we look at his manuscript, that's all we need to show and quote what he wrote, because he said he doesn't speak Dutch. Whatever he wrote in his manuscript, that's what we're gonna see. Okay, does it correspond to the Dutch version of it? Alright, so if the Dutch, whoever was doing the translation, decided to add names in it, then that's on that person, not Omid. And you know what that remind me of as well? When Harry's book came out, what Spain had done, okay, to quickly put it out, that sort of remind me of what happened in Spain for some reason. It's not the same thing, but it just remind me of that.
I don't know who they are because I haven't. They wouldn't tell me in the green room in case I said.
Well, I heard the names. It's just, you know,
I don't want to hear the names. I haven't heard the names. I really don't want to hear. I wasn't there. I don't know.
They say they've pulled the books. We don't know how many they printed before they got to claim that, right? If it were on purpose.
This might have been about 10 books. Withdrew 5, pulped them and fed them.
But also the other thing is, as we should say, that even if these names do come out, it's not clear that what they said was racist. I'd love your thoughts on that. I mean, this is where somebody said, I wonder what colour the baby is going to be, apparently.
Okay, let's continue. Another 1 minute and 53 seconds. Oops.
I don't know. They say they've pulled the books. We don't know how many they printed before they got to claim that, right? If it were on purpose. This might have been about 10 books.
Withdrew 5, pulped them and fed them.
But also the other thing is, as we should say, that even if these names do come out, it's not clear that what they said was racist. I'd love your thoughts on that. I mean, this is where somebody said, I wonder what colour the baby is going to be, apparently.
For me, I don't know what was said. I don't know who said it. I wasn't there. I cannot comment. Why do we keep talking about what we don't know?
Okay, then this woman, for some reason, then this woman know what they were gonna discuss. But okay, she has the right to say whatever. But then she know what they were gonna discuss in the show. If she had nothing to say, why did she even bother showing up? I'm just saying, okay? Like I said, she has the right to not respond. But then she have an idea what the discussion of the show was gonna be.
I think it's like my great-granddad was African from West Africa. So that whole side of my family are black. And when I got pregnant and had kids, it was like, oh, I wonder if you'll have, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but sometimes you can, when you've got that in your genes, the baby, I've got a Mongolian blue spot, which is a birthmark that's blue that shows I've got that in my blood.
Right.
And sometimes you can then have a baby that's got darker skin.
Right, so somebody said, wonder what...
Yeah. I wonder if it'll be like more like granddad's side of the family.
And that doesn't make them racist.
Doesn't make them racist. I think it's sometimes, you know, is that two of my kids are ginger. Oh, I wonder if they're going to be ginger like my husband's side of the family, or look more African.
I suppose it's the
like my side of the
It's the
family.
tone and the style and the context.
Yeah.
You have to know what the context
Exactly.
is. But we were not in the room. No,
We
we
will
weren't.
never know.
But then you wonder
So
why
let's
Harry...
stop talking about
Well, yeah, but Harry and Meghan brought it up. That's the thing. That's why it matters.
We stopped talking.
Exactly.
But I mean, if this isn't... We didn't invent this. They brought it up, and Oprah Winfrey did that. What? When they said it, they sort of said, flagged it. That's all. Okay, in the Telegraph, Louisa, men...
Well, Meghan did say they're not going to mention who it is because it would be very devastating to the institution. So whatever happened now, when was the Oprah interview? Was it 2020 or 20? No, it has to be 2021. So they brought it up. They mentioned it in the interview, and they're done with it, and they told you why they're not mentioning the name. And then now they decided to mention the name. I don't think Omid mentioned it in the name, but whatever happened in the translation, it's not Meghan's fault. It's not Harry's fault. All right, so let's see. Apparently, there's the laugh here. Rebecca English, royal editor, published 30 November, that's today. Buckingham Palace is today considering all options over the royal race rules stoked by Omid Scobie new book on the monarchy. So they blur out the Endgame. They don't want to mention the name. Okay, well-placed sources have told the Daily Mail, okay, this all blur out, aides are seriously looking at how they should, if at all, respond. It comes as a Dutch language edition of Scobie's book named Two Royals Meghan Accused of Unconscious Bias, which was followed up by presenter Piers Morgan last night, naming them on live television and subsequently on social media. The Mail has not chosen to follow suit at this stage. The Mail. What does the Mail has to do with that? Okay, while it is clear that courtiers will be looking at the various legal options open to them, it is incredibly unlikely that they will actually sue Scobie. I think the squad wants that to happen. They want discovery for more tea to come out. Okay, they will not want to get into protracted legal battle. But a source told the Mail, I understand the palace is considering all options open to them. Other options available to them could be sending out a legal warning to those tempted to further repeat the names.
But the idea that we are, and that so he's in America, so he has this, we are all unrestricted.
Other options available to them could be sending out a legal warning to those tempted to further repeat the names.
We are all unrestricted. Nobody's not as if King Charles or the late Queen phones up an editor and says, I don't like their story. Don't complain. Don't explain. Has always been their mantra.
I mean, I'm glad Harry and Meghan decided not to comment on that. But what if the name that is mentioned in the book is the right name? What if it is? Oh, Lord. This is the thing. They're doing their stupid things and they don't want people to talk about it. Okay, so there's more. And they're off. Racist, was it? Racist Kitty and Green. What is that? Okay, first look at the Princess and Princess of Wales with Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel at Windsor Castle. Okay, so when was that? Okay, so that's that. Are they cousin or something? So that they are here. She looks out of place. kind of nervous or something. But anyway, there's more. Really now, so how did the Telegraph find out? There's a rolling eye, so the palace is leaking, LOL. Oh, this one is kind of small. Rebecca, English editor, that was published today. A senior palace source told The Sun that letter is under lock and key, and no one from within the King Circle will have briefed anyone about its content.
Also has a legendary temper, as his staff know to their cost. One of his later butlers was Ken Stronach, who sold stories to the press which...
And no one from within the King Circle would have briefed anyone about its content.
One of his later butlers was Ken Stronach, who sold stories to the press which...
In all likelihood, it must have been the Sussex camp which leaked their names. It's a nasty and deliberate attack. I mean, if Harry and Meghan wanted to say it, they would have said it since the Oprah interview. Okay? Since the Oprah interview. So why would they talk to The Sun about this? Oh, Lord. But anyway, there you go. Vicky Ward exclusive. There's more. All these are coming from over there. Okay, so Victoria Ward, 21 April 2023. Exclusive. Meghan wrote to King over racism concern. What? I know for sure Meghan will not give them those information. Remember the lawsuit? So how did the Telegraph know about Meghan's letter? Again. So it's not Meghan who's suing this. Then they see the lawsuit that happened. Oh my God. A source claimed that the letters make clear the identity of the senior member of the family who made the comment. It is understood that both the King and the Duchess acknowledged that the individual's remark was not made with malice. The Duchess is believed to have thanked the King for his words. The Duchess's letter is also said to suggest that... How do they know? I know for sure Meghan will not give them that. Oh my God. They're telling on themselves. It's like, you know, some kids, when they see a button, they want to press the button. They can't resist to press the button. These are the royal rights over there. They can't resist to write about anything. The Duchess's letter is also said to suggest that she had never intended to specifically accuse the individuals involved of being a racist, but was raising concern about the unconscious bias. Wasn't what this was said at the Oprah interview? Okay, one royal source, there it is again, suggested that while the exchange was warm and torn, it had not eased the tension between the two sides. The Duchess is understood to feel that concern she has raised, which crucially include the way in which bullying complaints against her were handled and the allegation that neglect by the institution led her to feel suicidal, have still not been resolved. So they're taking this from the Oprah interview, okay? That's from the Oprah interview. Oh, Taliban ship, put a sack on it. Alright, let's see here. Okay, there's Chris Chip. On this morning, the author Scobie says he is not a friend of Meghan and never sat down privately with Meghan for interview. Alright, so that was 30 November 2023. So today...
I've never sat down with Meghan privately for interviews. I've never exchanged information with Meghan. I'm not in their private world in any way whatsoever.
Are you fighting their corner?
No.
It feels like
I have been, during Meghan's time as a working member of the royal family, I was extremely sympathetic for the position she was in. I was one of a number of journalists that are part of that small pack that covered the story as a full-time job. For me, there were things that I saw being written about in the press, the comments that were being made about her, unfair treatment when it came to how she was being written about compared to, say, how we've written about others in the past. And so I called it out. You know, I work in the American press. I'm not restricted by some of the limitations of being a member of the British press.
But the idea that we are, and that so he's in America, so he has this on, we are all unrestricted.
Other options available to them could be sending out a legal warning to those tempted to further repeat the names.
You know, I work in the American press. I'm not restricted by some of the limitations of being a member of the British press and that relationship with the royal family. So I did go on television and talk about the racism that she faced. And rather than anyone wanting to talk about it or listen about it, I was called her fan, mouthpiece, cheerleader.
There it is. That's
not
all.
Their friend.
That's all. He's calling it out as he see it. Like I've always said when I put that image of perspective. Okay, there's the number 6, or whichever position you're standing on that number. If you're in one area, you could see it as number 9, and if you're in a different area, you will see it at number 6. So there's Omid as a journalist seeing things as he sees it, and he's calling it out, and then they're blaming him on it. Oh my goodness. Right, so there's another one here, 2 minutes.
It's the manner, the way things have played out since the book has come out. Primarily a name being named in the Dutch version of your book.
Well, two names.
That just seems bizarre to everybody out there, because you don't accidentally put in a name, and you can't put it down to mistranslation, can you? It does feel like a stunt to sell books, which I understand.
I wish it was the case.
Okay, how did it happen?
It's still being investigated right now.
What do you think happened?
I wrote and edited the English version of the book.
That's all.
With one publisher. That then gets licensed to other publishers. I obviously can't speak Italian, German, French, Dutch, or any of the other languages that come out. So the only time you hear about the book is once it's come out in the public domain. I'm as frustrated as everyone else. I make it very clear in this book that I, in every way possible, want to adhere to the laws surrounding this subject. It's why I've been very careful in how it's described in the book. And it's why I've never spoken about it beyond what I've said in the public domain before. The reality is, though, is that this is information that is not privy just to me. Journalists across Fleet Street have known those names for a long time. We've all followed a certain code of conduct when it comes to talking about it. It's frustrating that now what's going on in the Netherlands with the book that was obviously immediately rescinded and is now being reprinted has happened, and I'm glad to hear so. But for me, I can only talk about the English version of the book that I wrote and produced.
But are you upset by it, though? Are you upset by it that those names came out when it had you didn't want that to happen?
I had never submitted a book that had their names in it.
That's all. That's all. That's his thing. That's it. That's his defense. And he has, if he has a copy of the manuscript himself, what he submitted, that's it. There's nothing to worry about. Everything else is just noise. If the others wanted to insert themselves, whoever did the translation and did their own kind of version of translation, that's on the translator, not Omid. That's the way that I see it. He has nothing to worry about.
So I can only talk about my version.
That's it.
I'm obviously frustrated. I wouldn't say I'm upset about it, because to be honest, I've been operating in a bubble of no emotion for the last 10 days. But I am frustrated about it, just like I am many of the other things that I've seen written or said about the book.
Okay, that's it. Alright, let's see here. Meanwhile, there's the ruling eye. K passed for a variety performances recalled with humor by Patrick Kidd and The Time. The Prince and the Princess of Wales will be joined by Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden at the Royal Albert Hall this evening. So there's this. I'll enlarge it. You guys could read it. What year was that? Okay, November 30th, 2023. Alright, so I'll enlarge it. Just read the screen. I'm sorry. I'm trying. This was not supposed to be that long. It's already 30 minutes. Okay, the kiss of a racist, LOL. Oh my god. Kate Middleton and Prince William are all smile as they welcome the future Queen and King of Sweden to Windsor Castle ahead of their night out at the Royal Variety performance amid Omid Scobie Raceful. Prince and Princess of Wales welcome Crown Princess Victoria and husband. Okay, so she's the heir, I guess? She's the blood one? Okay. The way the squad said it, the kids from the races. Look at the thing in the back. Okay, There's Oh my God. Prince and Princess of Wales looking happy and relaxed at Buckingham Palace with the Crown Princess of Sweden and Prince Daniel. All four are set to attend the Royal Variety performance at the Royal Albert Hall tonight. That's quite what they did here. Whoever did that, I don't know. Okay? LOL, let them sue. That's all I'm saying. Let them sue. Because all Omid has to do is show his manuscript, whatever he submitted to whoever he made the deal with, and then whoever did the translation gonna have to say, where did you see the names in the manuscript? Okay, so this person probably just lose his license from translating. Okay, LOL, let them sue. There's that here. Okay, so let me read here. Goodwin Busuttil, a barrister at London 5RB Chambers and whose client have included Sir Cliff Richard, said, quote, "It is vanishingly unlikely that a British monarch will sue. To do so will create all sorts of constitutional issues, but that does not, of course, prevent other members of the royal family from restoring to the courts." They put this part here because of what Harry's doing. Okay, the result will seem to be that the palace, which yesterday declined to comment on any of the claims in Mr. Scobie's book, is more likely to rely on its communication and strategists to put nonsense on the public domain, confuse people, or send bats to say their nonsense on social media. But anyway, that's my input on that. Okay, it's more likely to rely on its communication strategists when it comes to attempting to contain any damage arising from the latest development related to the Sussexes. I mean, how is that related to the Oh, yeah, because it's Omid explained it in one of the interview. In the Oprah interview, they raised that issue. Okay, but in the same interview, the Oprah interview, they stopped talking about it. So Omid said, I don't know if I have that interview somewhere here. He said that raised his concern. He wanted to find out more. Why they didn't talk about it in the docuseries, and Harry did not mention it in the in his book Spare. So he went, okay, he went in it and looked deeper into it. It's almost like I'm not at the Omid's level. When I first started recording and stuff about the Sussexes, and when what was it? Meghan was pregnant with Archie. All the negativity that was going on the tabloid on Meghan, about Meghan, and my concern was, why are nobody, the female in the royal household, don't speak up and support or defend Meghan? Nobody said anything. Then somewhere on Twitter, someone mentioned that Ford Fiesta had a miscarriage. And then I wanted to find out if that was true, because my question was, why nobody's defending Meghan? She's pregnant, and every day you're hearing all this nonsense. Through my own research, my makeshift research, I found out whatever Twitter had said was true. And not only that, I found out about Ardent Production, and I went and did 2 videos on that. So one thing leads to another, bring, you know, the book. So Omid said Harry and Meghan raised that issue on the Oprah interview, and then that was it. But he wanted to find out more due to his research, and he went and searched more. So Harry and Meghan have nothing to do with that, because it stopped after the Oprah interview, in my understanding. Okay, so let's see here. Suddenly, they want Meghan to sue. Okay, Piers Morgan identified 2 royals linked to Meghan Markle's accusation that a royal was concerned about how dark her child's skin will be in a clip viewed more than 5 million times on social media alone. LOL. The outspoken host said the names of 2 senior royals live on TV after they had been included in a Dutch translation of bombshell royal book Endgame and Error. The move risks sparking a privacy lawsuit from either Buckingham Palace or Meghan's legal team, as she also has a right to privacy attached to a letter she sent King Charles III that may have contained one or both names. They're just gonna leave that as that. So definitely, we already know for a fact. Okay, look all the extent that she went for the letter to her father did not go to the wrong hand. So Meghan has nothing to do. Alright, so there's that here. Kitty dressing back to plain normal. So there's that. This man is Bully's friend, whom I think is his spokesman. Who is that? Okay. Oh my God. Let me pause for a second. See how long is this thread. This is longer than I thought. There's a lot more that's coming. Okay.
The author of a controversy.
BBC TV. So suddenly it's private family matters. So Buckingham Palace won't comment, but the press want Montecito to speak up. Okay. 1 minute and 51 seconds.
The author of a controversial new book on the royal family, Omid Scobie, has denied naming in his manuscript 2 members of the royal family who allegedly talked about the skin colour of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's first child. The Dutch edition of the book has been withdrawn by the publishers after containing the names.
The reality is, though, is that this is information that is not privy just to me. Journalists across Fleet Street have known those names for a long time. I had never submitted a book that had their names in it, so I can only talk about my version.
Yeah.
I'm obviously frustrated.
Well, there we are, Omid Scobie there talking today. Let's speak to our royal correspondent, Johnny Diamond, who's with me now. All rather confusing. Any response at all from Buckingham Palace?
No, I mean, out of all of this, I'm telling you, the UK love controversy, they probably just love what's going on right now to take away from whatever other nonsense that's going on. You mean to tell me this is what they're going about? But Omid already told you. He wrote the thing in English and he didn't mention any name. So this has nothing to do with him.
Silence from the palace, and that is not at all surprising. You'll remember this was an explosive allegation when Meghan made it in 2021 in an interview with Oprah Winfrey. The first and last response was from the late Queen. She said recollections may vary, politely casting doubt on Harry and Meghan's version. The palace always said, look, this is a family matter, a private matter, and there it has lain until this book. Omid Scobie, who has got some pretty good contacts with Harry and Meghan, says he didn't put the names into the English version.
Okay, so this is... Don't say things like that, because he just said he never sat down. He's not... he never sat down with Harry and Meghan, and he's not into their private, matters. It's just business. Okay? So this part here, somewhere here, let's see.
A private matter, and there it has lain until this book. Omid Scobie, who has got some pretty good contacts with Harry and Meghan.
That part here, pretty good contact. How do you know? And he just told you he has nothing beyond, professional things going on. He's a reporter and he reports on things. Oh, Lord.
Says he didn't put the names into the English version of the book, but somehow half a paragraph with those names turned up in the Dutch version, naming the members of the royal family.
So that has to do with the translator. If that whole paragraph was not an Omid thing, why did the translator decided to add his own? So there's some really, if for instance there's gonna be a lawsuit, it will have to be Omid with the translator, or whoever gave the translator the manuscript. Okay, so there is absolutely no way someone will translate something, a paragraph, a whole paragraph. So who answered that paragraph for the translator to translate? So someone did it deliberately, because it's not in the English version. It's only on this one. So someone did it deliberately. So this is where the investigation have to find out what happened to that. Whose hand touched the original manuscript and then decided to insert that into the manuscript. There's no way the translator could just read something like this, a whole paragraph. My goodness. That's all.
Why hasn't the palace responded to it? Well, look, it's partly because, despite the fact it's swirling around social media, most broadcasters and newspapers are not publishing the names. It's partly because the palace thinks it'll add fuel to the fire if it gets involved. And it's partly because it insists this remains a private and family matter.
All right, John.
Like someone said, what is it? The publisher is a Murdoch. I believe they say it's a Murdoch company. publishing company. So who knows? I don't know. Think about this. Think about this. They probably know the answer to it, and you know, they feel, I don't know. I don't want to say things. I'm just leaving it as that. We could put one and one together. A beaming, there's a laugh. So Feng obviously knew. A beaming Prince and Princess of Wales welcome Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden to Windsor Castle. All four will be attending the Royal Variety performance at the Royal Albert Hall this evening. Okay. So these, I think I'm gonna stop. It's just more things. What is that now? That's it. I'm kind of tired. Oh my goodness, they're still trying to steal Meghan's outfit. But anyway, there's another tweet that I wanted to share. I cut through a lot of things. All right, I didn't want to go through all of them. There's this one here, another tweet. Hold on. So this is another interview that Omid did. It's 1 minute and 15 seconds. Endgame, Omid Scobie, racist royal family. All right, so let's listen.
Big headlines that so many people still talk about is that moment when Meghan Markle told Oprah that there was a discussion before the birth of her firstborn about what the color of his skin would look like. You've learned more about kind of that moment and who was involved. What can you tell us?
Yeah, you know, I think, listen, there are many people that argued it's normal to have conversations about what a child might look like at birth, and I think the problematic term that Meghan raised was that there were concerns over the colour of Archie's skin. And, you know, I always wondered why Harry and Meghan didn't continue that conversation in the next.
Okay, so this was the interview where he said it. All right? So they brought it up. Harry and Meghan brought it up on the Oprah interview, and then they never spoke about it ever again. So it was up to Omid to do his own investigation to find out what happened. And there it is in the book.
Netflix series in Harry's book Spare, you know, it was like it disappeared out of sight, and I wanted to get to the bottom of that. So to discover more about these letters that had been exchanged between Meghan and Charles after that Oprah interview, where although neither still see eye to eye on it to this day, they were able to at least share their queries and concerns about those conversations that happened within the family.
We do have to say both Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace declined to comment on Scobie's book to ABC News. A spokesperson for the Sussexes has not yet responded to ABC News' request for comment. The book is called Endgame. All
right. Let's read some of the comments. There's not that much. All right, and then that'll be it for this video. Okay, I love that Omid emphasized the word concern. Yep. I have read many comments from interracial couples who minimize this issue because they said that curiosity is normal in these cases, but when the word is concern, the entire meaning of the conversation changes. Okay, ABC, you mean when Meghan was just repeating what was said to her by Harry, whoever said it or asked about Prince Archie's skin color? It was said to Harry first, and Henry said it to her. Meghan was just repeating what was said to her by Harry. Let's stop narrative with Meghan. Okay, where can I watch more of this? Thanks for the clip. These royals have always been pretentious, what they have been allowed to be until now. Crown critters have allowed this type of behavior, so the British will find fault with everyone else beside themselves, but they will answer to the Sussexes like it or not. All right, so there's that. So that's it. All right, I wasn't planning to make this video long, and I actually cut on the other one because it was too long. It was too long of a thread, and they were talking about the other one, so I didn't really care too much. All right, so that is it. Thank you for watching.